Illinois lawmakers are looking for ways to reimagine public transit in the state. Today, the state Senate Transportation Committee held its largest and latest hearing on the issue in Elgin.
They focused on how transit is crucial for public health. Illinois Capitol Bureau Chief Max Cotton has more on the discussion.
Illinois is facing a public transit crunch. The agency overseeing public transit in the Chicago area is facing a $730 million fiscal cliff, one the state may have to absorb. At the same time, transit agencies are facing new service demands and a need to modernize their fleets.
We all know by now that there is the correlation between tailpipe emissions and climate change. But those very same emissions are also wreaking havoc on our health, especially amongst some of the most vulnerable members of our community.
He cited a 2022 report from the Respiratory Health Association estimating exhaust from diesel engines could lead to more than 5,000 asthma attacks, nearly 200 heart attacks, and 416 premature deaths annually in Illinois.
It's important, I feel, that we prioritize zero-emission electric buses.
Christina Hamilton with the American Lung Association says zero-emission buses help us avoid breathing in diesel exhaust and its cancer-causing particles. However, regardless of the type of bus, making public transit easier will lead to cleaner air as fewer cars will be on the road.
The air quality benefits of transit can include reductions in traffic exhaust, climate pollution reduction, lower road, brake, and tire particle impacts.
And while Wednesday's focus was transit's impact on public health, it's part of a larger set of hearings as the state looks to reimagine how we get from point A to B. In Springfield, Max Cotton, WGEM News.